I don't get it. Why doesn't mine look as good as theirs? Okay, so this last week, 2 content creators made videos that made me realize just how far off my painting is. And I'm not a content creator that's like, look at me, I've won all these awards, because I haven't. I'm a content creator that's trying to get better and trying to share that journey with you as I do it. And I feel like I am getting better, but I was watching these creators. I watched Sam Lenz posted a video this week about it was a master class in doing yellow Space Marines, okay? And it was awesome. Like, it was fantastic. Like, you should definitely check it out. I'll put links to his video and the other one below. But it was just this... He makes it look so easy. He makes it look so easy to make these things so perfect. And then the other content creator is Ice King. He's a friend who does Warmachine, does Gundams, he does, all sorts of stuff. And he's great. He's great at like showing you how to paint and making you feel like, yeah, this is something you can do too, and he was using the color schemes, the cards of colors that Ninjon has come out with to paint a mini this last week. And it was all new stuff to him, doing these colors and putting these things together. And it turned out looking great. And I just looked at his model and I looked at Sam Lenz's model and I was just like, theirs are so much different than mine. And I'll paint a model and I'll think, man, this model's pretty good. But then I'll look at it side by side with like these pieces that win competitions. And the differences are just stunning. They're huge. And so I thought, you know what? It's time to stop doing what I've been doing the whole time and start trying things that they're doing and seeing how they work and if I like them. So what I decided to do was take an old model. This is Deuce from Warmachine that I painted in a video months ago. And I did not like how I painted it. It had nothing to do with the colors. It had nothing to do with that. It just had to do with the fact that it's a bigger model. It's a Warmachine. It's a Warjack. Okay, it's supposed to be a center point of your army. And I thought, I need to make this thing look bigger, better, badder, different. And as I was painting it, it was just the way I've been doing things for the longest time, which is, you put down your base coat, you color the thing the color you want it to be, and then you do some edge highlights and things like that, and boom, you're done.
I'm not gonna judge.
Which, for getting a model on the table, is fantastic. But if you want to surpass that and you want to go on, you have to start learning how to do things like glazing and blending. And that's what I learned the most from watching these 2 videos this past week, is that it's second nature to some of these artists to just blend colors and to do glazing. And I thought, it's time I try. It's time I actually try and see what happens. Okay, and just really fast before I start any of this, I kind of want to show what I mean when I say glazing and when I say blending. Okay, from what I've been made to understand, glazing is when you take a color and you thin it down. And you thin it down so much that it just leaves a nice, like almost see-through version of the paint. And glazing, you usually have to do multiple times, over and over, multiple layers. And each time you do that glazing, it gets a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. Which allows you to make these perfect, just awesome looking transitions from dark blue to lighter blue, or whatever the color is that you're using. Blending, on the other hand, generally uses a lot darker, or the main color, nice and thick, at least wet blending. And you get the 2 colors that you're trying to blend together. So in this case, we'll have blue and white, and then you just kind of force them together to make the color that you want and the transition that you want as well. Okay. And normally it would be a lot darker on this side, and we could add a little bit more to that and just kind of blending back and forth until you have that perfect transition that you want. So that's what I've been led to understand. If I'm crazy, I'm crazy. Let me know. But from what I understood, that's the difference between glazing and blending. So now that we know what blending and glazing is, let's jump into how I actually used it on the model. And I know this isn't a great piece to show what I was doing on the model, but it shows the wet palette, which I think is kind of important too. So you can see here, I'm starting with blending. I started nice dark blue on the left and almost white on the top, and I'm just trying to move them together. And honestly, this was my first attempt at doing this, and I didn't feel like it went super well, but it went well enough that I was like, okay, I'm going to move on. Let's try something else. So I moved down to the leg. And if you see the hand there, I also tried there another time, because I was like, I got to try this a couple times before I would get it on camera. This is where I started to think, I get this. I did white on the top, and then I started with the blue on the bottom, and I just glazed, kind of working my way up to the white. And it's cool because the glazing on the white just makes it look like a lighter blue. And so I thought, now I got this. I'm going to move somewhere else where it's a little bit bigger. And so I moved up to this piece on the top. And as you can see, I started from the top down with the white, and then I started glazing with the blue from the bottom up. And I thought, this is working great. And that was my first attempt at glazing and blending as like a whole model. I've done it in things before. I've tried non-metallic metal. I've tried to do those things, which, I mean, honestly, that's what they are, is glazing or blending, whichever one you prefer to use. And I feel like they can kind of both be used interchangeably. I know that there's specific reasons for doing one versus the other. If you look at Sam Lenz's video and the Space Marine he did, there are no lines. It doesn't look like it was painted. It just looked like it just was there, like it was airbrushed to perfection, you know. But he does that by glazing. He does that by doing those thin layers so many times that it just looks perfect. And I'm a kind of a fan of what I've done here because it looks like it was something that was painted. And I'm very happy with how this model came out because I feel like I upgraded it. It was the upgrade that Deuce needed, and now that I've done that, I'm like, oh, okay, well now I got to finish this. Like I want to finish it because I love how it's come out. What I will say though about this is that it's a time-consuming process, especially on a bigger model. Smaller models, maybe not so much, but I'm sure it still is a little bit of a process, and you have to be able to spend the time to do it, which is why, you know, people spend 100, 200, 300 hours on these Golden Demon entries and things like that. So it makes sense. But I think it's worth it. If painting is your goal, if not just playing the game, but actually sitting down and painting and making your little masterpiece is your goal, you got to learn to do different things. You got to learn to do what they're doing and then add your signature on top of that. And I feel like that's kind of what I've done here is like, no, it's not perfect, but it looks the way that I like how it looks. Like it's like a grungy shadow or a grungy light on the armor. And I like that. I like it a lot. And so my question to you is, what was the thing that made you feel like you were no longer a beginner painter? At what point did you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not just a beginner anymore. Maybe I am good enough to be in competitions, good enough to do other things? Or if you haven't gotten there yet, what do you think is holding you back? Like, what's that thing that's just so difficult that you just don't even try anymore, or you try it every time and it just never turns out the way you want? Because hopefully I can help, and hopefully if it's something that I'm struggling with, I can keep going at it and maybe find a better way to do it for both of us, for all of us. So thank you for sticking around. You know, here at Polska Games, it's all about making your experience the best it can be, making you the best painter that you want to be for whatever hobby it is you're interested in. I got a ton of stuff coming out for Warmachine. I've got Infinity stuff coming up that is just fantastic. If you like either of those things, or just like the tabletop gaming hobby as a whole and want to learn how to paint, subscribe, stick around. You know, hit that little bell and you'll be notified every time another video comes out. And if you have suggestions, drop them in the comments below. I'm open to that. I love this hobby. And sure, the gaming side of it is great, but I love the painting and the creating side of it probably more than that. And that's why I just keep doing that, and I'll keep doing videos about that because I love it so much. And if that interests you, stick around. And as always, don't spend so much time building your world that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.